Good to see you, John T. Happy holidays.
Oh, you as well. Happy Thanksgiving. It's my favorite holiday.
Mine too. It's the healthiest holiday.
Is it?
You know why it's the healthiest holiday?
No idea. I haven't heard that.
Well, you know how we always talk about you have two nervous systems?
Right.
You've got your rest and digest nervous system, and you have your stress and emergency nervous system. Mm-hmm. Well, nothing will activate the parasympathetic rest and digest healing nervous system more than gratitude and giving thanks. And gratitude is built into the name of this holiday. So I always think of Thanksgiving as the healthiest holiday.
That's exactly why I like it so much. It's the whole idea of just being thankful for everything that you have.
Being thankful. You know, it's easy to not be thankful. I've been listening to Fox News lately just to see what's going on and what their perspective is on the world. And I'm telling you, if you listen to the news, not just Fox News, all the news stations, if you listen to the news, it's easy to be terrified, to be freaked out. Right. And while I'm not being Pollyannish about the world condition and the world situation, it's not good for your health. You know, nothing will activate your healing, shutdown nervous system faster than watching the news, especially nowadays.
Not to mention it has a tendency to shut down your ability to be proactive about things.
Yeah, the freeze response, the deer in the headlights response.
Exactly.
People just give up. So
speaking about
time to give thanks.
Speaking of not giving up, we were going to talk about a chronic condition that a lot of people suffer from, arthritis.
Yes, a lot of people. 1 out of 6 or 7 Americans are dealing with arthritis. 50 million people. You know, sometimes we throw these numbers around, and the numbers 50 million, 20 million, 30 million, 100 million. These kinds of numbers come up a lot when we talk about health. 100 million people have diabetes or prediabetes. 100 million people are overweight or obese. 100 million people have fatty liver disease. 50 million people have arthritis. 30 million people have autoimmune disease. These are ridiculous numbers. How the heck can you have a disease-ridden culture that is dealing with these kinds of issues to such an extent that we're talking about literally hundreds of millions of people? In the case of arthritis, the statistics say 50 million people. It's probably more. The tragedy about all of this is it's unnecessary. Arthritis is a degenerative disease. Itis means inflammation. It's an inflammatory disease. Whenever you hear the word inflammation, the first thing you want to think about is immunity. Inflammation is how the immune system shows up. The immune system is the body's defensive system. So when there's an inflammatory reaction happening in the body, anywhere in the body is protecting itself from something. This is compounded, made worse by nutritional deficiencies. And this 1-2 punch of toxicity and defense compounded by nutritional deficiency cannot help but lead to degenerative conditions like arthritis. And arthritis is really nothing more than a degenerative condition that is affecting the arth. The arth is the joints. Arth is the Greek term for joint. Arthritis, inflammation of the joints. But basically it's Parkinson's disease of the joints. It's Alzheimer's disease of the joints. It's any disease you want to name, any degenerative disease you want to name, but it's affecting the joints. And why is that important? Well, it's important because it means that the remedies or the treatments or the ways that you want to reverse the condition are generic. You reverse arthritis the same way you reverse Parkinson's disease. You reverse arthritis the same way you reverse Alzheimer's disease. You reverse arthritis the same way you reverse osteoporosis. It's not like you have a special kind of thing for dealing with arthritis, although there are perhaps supplements that will target the joints a little bit more than they target the nerve cells. But for the most part, your remedies, or your reversal strategies are going to be the same. Number one, focus on digestive health. A couple of reasons for this, as always. If the digestive system is breaking down, toxins are going to get into the blood, and this is going to exacerbate inflammation. And number two, if the digestive system is breaking down, you're not going to be able to absorb your nutrients. There's your 1-2 punch. Lack of nutrition and toxicity that's getting into the blood, initiating an inflammatory response. So work on the digestive system first, always. That means do a food diary, eliminate problem foods, foods that cause digestive distress. In the case of arthritis, foods that make your symptoms flare up, foods that cause an increase in pain. There's a phenomenon called postprandial inflammation. Prandial means eating or meals. Post-meal inflammation occurs no matter what we eat. There's an immune response that's mounted after we eat spinach, or after we eat lettuce, or after we eat the most benign of foods, the most mundane of foods, let alone after we eat some kind of frankenfood or some kind of highly processed food. So watch out for problem foods, or do a food diary, watch out for problem foods, eliminate problem foods, and then start to patch up the gut. It turns out that many of the supplements that patch up the gut are also important for building the joints. That's because the same tissue that makes up the joints makes up the digestive tract. Underneath the surface of the digestive tract, you have connective tissue. The joints are also made of connective tissue. So by using supplements that build up and strengthen the connective tissue in the digestive tract, you'll also be building up and strengthening the joints. So substances like glucosamine, the glucogel caps, for example, gelatin, hyaluronic acid, chondroitin, cartilage-containing foods, things like bone soup or the knobby part of chicken legs. Interestingly, cartilage-containing foods are the cheaper foods. Pig snouts, pig hooves, pigtails, oxtails. These are all foods that indigenous cultures used to enjoy and consider delicacies. Today we throw them out. They're considered trash foods. But the cartilage in those foods, when you eat them, will help you build your own cartilage. Speaking of cartilage, which is a type of protein, eating more protein is also a very important strategy for building joints. So in addition to cartilage, just eating more protein. Whey protein, for example, can be helpful. Egg protein can be helpful. Meat and fish protein as well. With protein, you got to be a little bit tricky because proteins can initiate an allergic reaction. If you have digestive problems, you may want to be careful with whey protein or egg protein and kind of notice to see how you feel. But if you can handle whey protein and egg protein, they're very effective for helping build all tissue, muscle tissue, joint tissue, connective tissue in the digestive system, etc. Liquid protein. Bone soup is a liquid protein. So soaking your bones or soaking a chicken, a whole rotisserie chicken in a big pot of water, turning it into soup. I call that bone soup, but it's really chicken soup. That can be an effective strategy for dealing with all inflammatory health issues, but especially for dealing with arthritis. Sugar is very inflammatory, so keeping your intake of sugar, and when I say sugar, I don't just mean desserts and sweets, anything that breaks down into sugar, floury foods, starchy foods, cereals certainly, processed foods, white bread, things of that nature. Keeping your intake of those kinds of foods down, and of course it goes without saying, sugar, refined sugar, soda pop, that kind of thing. If you fall off the wagon when you're eating sugar, when you're trying to wean yourself off of sugar, you fall off the wagon, especially this time of year, drink lots of water to dilute your blood sugar. Also using the chromium and vanadium and selenium nutrients that will help you process sugar. The Sweeties, the Ultimate Selenium, for example. The B vitamins are tremendously valuable for helping the body process sugar and also important for the joints. 2 B vitamins in particular can be very helpful for arthritis. Vitamin B3, which is niacin, and vitamin B5, which is pantothenic acid. Now you get all your B vitamins in the Beyond Tangy Tangerine, but if you want to take extra niacin or vitamin B3, get yourself some timed release niacin. If you want to take extra vitamin B5, do something like 1,000 milligrams. That's way over the RDA. 1,000 milligrams, 1,500 milligrams, even up to 2,000 milligrams of vitamin B5 every day.